Here you are, standing here, having killed men. Where's the fucking justice? I toss the black chip at him and lean against the inn's doorframe. He caught it and looked it over. What's this about? I ask. What corpse you pulled that off of? He smiled a knowing smile at me. Still warm, so you know it ain't fake. It's mine own. I begrudgingly nod my head. You were Reich's friend? I ask. Aye, he answers, tucking the chip away. And you're his killer. He almost laughs when he says it. Ain't that my fucking luck, eh? And now you've come round asking me for a favor? We don't gotta like each other. What is it you want? Need company. Gonna work my way through Leshy. Out to Ishtel, maybe as far as Telash. Dunno, haven't decided. Figure my best odds are gonna be with you. I crossed my arms. He was clearly a fit man, prime age for military. You're a deserter, I accuse. He's quiet for a moment. Fight's doomed. You're gonna judge me for not going out into the dunes to die. Your friends. They were all deserters, weren't they? Suppose it makes sense now, why they were so quick to defend the general's honor. Didn't want to look the coward. Don't suppose it matters now, he replies. I step out towards him. He's taller than I, more stocky too. Dark hair, eyes darker still. The kind of dark that hid something. I don't like it. He knows what I'm carrying, and has all the motivation to hang me first chance he gets. How's a deserter come by a black chip? Was told that wouldn't matter. Matters to me. He scoffs. Nah. Axe that. Your mind's made up for you. What's to stop me from killing you because I don't want to take the risk of your company? He smiles. Because trying that would be the bigger risk. I furrow my brow. He's got to know that he can't take me in a straight-up fight. He also probably knows about the weapon I'm carrying. Either it's a bluff, or he's got some kind of way to get word out about the courier that refused a chip in the event of his death, which not only severs my connection to the guild, but puts me on the top of their hunting list. I sigh. So what's your name, so I can tell them who stabbed me in the back? Calyx, he answers. Well, Calyx, how good are you with children? Serious? I nod. How old? No idea. Are you trying to make a joke? More of an indirect threat. See, I don't think you're the type to kill a kid or leave a kid to die. One's coming with us. Should I die, his charge will be left to you. The witch that accompanies you? I laugh. A good, haughty laugh. Really digging down into me and pulling out the mirth. She ain't gonna take the charge, I say. Will vanish quick as smoke if I go down. Surprised she hasn't left already. The amount they pay you lot, I can tell you why. I shrug and walk past them, stepping down onto the street. Expertise ain't cheap. Meet me here in an hour. I stop by the market shops to pick up enough supplies for the extra weight we'd be dragging along. Slow and Stupid were strong, but they were bred for endurance. They'd struggle a fair bit to keep pace with foreign supplies, which means we were already behind schedule. I like to leave at least an extra day to avoid coming close to a brand, and now it seems we'd be eating into that. I feel the metal on my wrist, warm, like it's been out in the sun too long. Gistra walks by. We pass shoulder to shoulder in the market shops, and her eyes don't even pick me up. She's focused on something. Perhaps many somethings. I turn and decide to follow her. It's like witnessing a beast stalk its prey. Markets like these were a stitcher's hunting grounds. She approached the shopkeep, a stout woman who had spent too much time in the sun. She had thick leather skin and a frown that appeared to be frozen there. What do you want for that necklace? Gistra asked the shopkeep. The woman's frown seemed to deepen, which I didn't think was possible. She felt the metal pendant around her neck. I can't sell this, the woman says. It was my daughter's. It was an ugly iron trinket, hardly worth anything at all except for its sentiment. But to a stitcher, sentiment was more valuable than gold. Gistra put a gold coin down on the table of the woman's booth. There's a war coming for this place, Gistra says icily, her eyes fixed forward, cornering the poor woman in her glare. This would ensure the rest of your family doesn't end up like your daughter. How did you... Gistra places down another gold piece. The woman moved to take it, and Gistra cages the coins with her fingers, extending the other hand, opening it, unblinking, looking at the necklace. Pay the price, she whispers, almost not loud enough for the woman to hear. The shopkeep took her end of the deal from her neck. The pain on her face as she dropped it into Gistra's outstretched palm was enough to make me feel something. I'm not sure what, but it was certainly something. Gistra clutches the necklace tightly, moving away quickly, like she had just remembered she'd left a purse on a table back at the inn. I caught up to her as she moved. Gold for a bit of iron, eh? I comment. Seems like a decent deal. Life's treasures are without price, except for the price you put on it. It wasn't the gold, she answers, wrapping the trinket around her slender neck. It was the security in the coming unknown. Her eyes moved eastwards, towards the fighting, towards the dunes. There's a kid that will be traveling with us, I say. Gistra stops walking. I don't like that, she says. Bringing a child to the battlefield? He will be your charge if I should befall something unkind, I tell her. She looks surprisingly passive. If I am to take him, he will be cut from the cloth. You understand this, yes? She's telling me that they were going to do whatever it is stitchers do to people to make them hear voices and trade gold for ugly iron necklaces. I nod. It's a better life than he'd have otherwise. Another thing you should know, I add. We're traveling with a man who contracted our escort via a black chip. The one who was waiting for you? The friend of one of your victims? I'd say it's more accurately one of your victims, being that you just had to get that ore in the man's pocket, but yes, there were any number of ways you could have accomplished that, and you picked the one that ended in that man's death. Your victim. I shake my head, not really looking to get into this debate. I've threatened the black chip with charge of the kid to try and keep him honest. Gistra laughs. If the threat of child cannot make a man control his most base impulses, what chance does it have to change a liar into a priest? I shrug. Depends on the god. There is only one god, and her name is Gistra. You are actually the humblest stitcher I've ever known. Of course I am. I am a benevolent god. My eyes could have rolled all the way up into Atema's holy halls. Not that they'd be welcome there. There's another bit, I say. What's the nation Sarah's fighting? You know the answer to that. Right, but say the name. Leshy. Yeah. Black Chip called it Leshay, like a Leshan. Well, to him it would be elation. I nod. Yeah. Not enough on its own, but with that and the chip, things don't wet. What's his name? I forget, something dumb. Looking more and more like a Leshan. Dumb name and all. Keep an eye on him, I tell her. You're the fighter. Exactly, so he's less likely to mouth off to me. I will not seduce him. She's firm in this. Her tone makes it plain. I blink. I never asked you to. Good, 'cause I won't. Okay, glad we could settle that. We're outside the constable's office now. I'm really hoping that it doesn't come out with a baby in his arms. My head pulls a thing from the depths. Calix. His name was Calix. That's such a sarin name it has to be fake, Gistra comments. I can feel the sand shifting beneath my feet as I step up to the office. This would be good ground for courier arts. The loose pack of the dry dirt makes a great dampener for impacts. It opens up a lot more throws and pivots. You can even drown a man in it. Courier, the constable's voice echoes out of his office. My head perks up to answer the summon, but I turn to say one last thing to Gistra. The sword. It's in a hollow board in the cart's seat. She nods. You mean Mirror's teeth? I give her a disapproving stare. Not ours to name, I say. She huffed and turned to walk back towards the inn. I enter the constable's office. The kid's about 14. Thank fucking Atema. He's sarin blonde, but with uncharacteristically dark eyes. Built well for a kid. Still a lot of room to grow, though. Wouldn't be much good in a fight. This is Axel, the constable says. The kid just stared at me. What's your name? Courier, I reply. Not your title, your name. Couriers don't have a name, kid. What kind of stupid practice is that? Kid has a mouth. It's so we can't rat on other couriers if they press hot iron to our skin. Must get confusing with more than one of you in a room, the constable chuckles. It did. He was making a joke, but he had no idea just how right he was. Horses all packed. There's food enough for a few days. Well enough to get back on. Constable bends down to say goodbye. It was more callous than I thought it would be. Not a tear shed. Keep yourself safe, keep yourself fed, and try to pick up enough skills to set yourself right, the father says to his son. They end the meeting with an embrace, and then nothing more is said. The kid follows in tow, me leading the horse towards the inn. Horse got a name? I ask. Yeah, Axel answers. Horse, so we can't rat on the other horses. Shit. Me and the kid might just get along. We go back to the inn after a few more sarcastic exchanges. Gistra is lying in her room. She looks spent. Her skin has a paleness to it. What'd you make? I ask. Something small. The pendant she'd gotten from the market was no longer around her neck. I'll need a ruby. Any ruby will do. She gets up from the bed and introduces herself to Axel. He's hesitant to enter the room, sickly as Gistra looks. Must have been something quite small. Normally she couldn't move for a few hours. In some other cases she was completely immobile for a few days. You're a stitcher, ain't you? Axel observes. What gave it away, I jest. The long black dress, the mismatched jewelry, or the general standoffish attitude? She's got thread bite, he answers. So there's a name for it. I didn't know that. I look at the kid, kind of curious as to how he knew that. What's your affectation? The kid adds. Gistra's eyes curiously pick the kid over. Medals, she answers and looks over to me. Where did you find him? His mom didn't want him no more. Had him holding a sign that said free labor. Sounded like a deal to me. Came with a horse. The joke didn't land. Constable's son, I admit. We are escorting him to keep us out of legal trouble of last night. Knows a lot for a constable's son. Father did a lot of logistics in the war. Picked up a thing or two, Axel explains. Stitches were a big focus of his. There's a lot of wartime use for those in your trade. So they keep telling us. We gotta get a move on if we're gonna make it to Faro on time, I say. I usher them out onto the road. I paid good money to the inn to make sure the horses were ready to be off at a moment's notice. I was happy to see that it was ore well spent. Slow and Stupid looked almost anxious, pulling against the cart's weight and nickering. Then I saw Calix. He'd leaned against the rail of the inn's balcony, smoking a pipe. Looked like he hadn't a care in the world. I walked over to him. He paid me little regard. In his stooped manner, I stood taller than him for a moment. I crossed my arms and looked bare steel serious at him. Do you have a horse? I ask. He shakes his head, taking in a lungful on his pipe. It smells like a burning forest. You'll be riding in the cart, then, I tell him. I make the assumption that word has reached you about what we are carrying. He's quiet at this, looking at me, unwilling to tell me one way or the other. You should know, if you ask of it, if you talk of it, if you so much as mention anything to do with my payload, I will kill you. These are terms afforded to me, even under the protection and goodwill of a black chip. Have I made myself seen to you? He nods, breathing out a plume of hot smoke. He picks himself up off the rail, taller than me again. He nods to Axel as the kid steps off the balcony onto the street, walking towards the cart. That the kid? Calyx asks. I pause for a moment to weigh what I think might be in his head, seeing the living, breathing charge I've threatened him with. It is. He ain't gonna survive long with me. He turns to me and winks. Best keep you in working order. He steps by me and moves towards the cart in an easy stride. One of us was going to die on this journey. Of that I was certain. I just wasn't sure which. It's in a hollow board in the cart's seat. She nods. You mean Mirror's teeth?